Hello everyone, we are back with Chapter 3, Heart of the Woods. The gay supernatural mystery. We love it. Last time we learned quite a lot of things from Morgan's perspective about her mother allegedly being some creature who has mind control powers. And not quite sure how true that is. We also met her name, Abigail. Her name's Abigail, the nice ghost girl, the cute ghost girl. That's her name, I think. I don't remember names. My memory's bad. And this is Maddie. And Maddie is in love with Abigail. I don't think she knows that yet. But let's jump into chapter 3. No. Awakening. Chapter 3, Awakening. I'm not cold. I'm not warm either. I'm not anything. I'm not even sure I'm awake. All I can see is vast, profound blackness. I realize my eyes are shut. Are they frozen shut? I try to move my arms to rub my face, but those feel frozen too. With great effort, I managed to wrench my eyes open. I'm flat on my back. Right above me is a familiar curved wood ceiling. The gray smudges in my peripheral vision are the pews where I sat and read with Abigail just days ago. I'm in the church. I try to remember how I got here, but all I have are glimpses of what happened. Waking up alone. The mayor dropped by unannounced. Following Tara. Not Tara. Even nearly immobile, a shiver creeps up my spine at the thought of that thing. And after that, it comes back to me as an avalanche, running, stumbling, and falling, and being so cold. I can recall the dread as it happened, as I gave up when strength left my body and my eyelids couldn't bear opening any longer. But how did I get from there to here? There's the sound of rustling cloth just beside me. I force my head to turn to look. And there she is, warm, radiant, just an arm's length away. Abigail. I blink, expecting her to vanish, to be a figment of my imagination. But when my aching eyes open once more, she's still there. Worry wrinkles her face. She saved me, didn't she? There's no other explanation. I muster the strength to smile up at her. She smiles back, though it doesn't reach her eyes.
Hello, Medicine. I'm glad you're awake.
In the otherwise silent church, her voice rings out like a bell. The first words I've ever heard her say. I can hear her. We can speak to each other. Understanding pierces through my exhaustion. With that understanding comes a whole cascade of realizations. A million feelings rush through me. I don't know what order to process them. Two concepts stand out among everything else. Voice is lovely, soft and gentle, like she is. She must be dead.
Abigail?
I mumble out the only coherent thought that I have. She slides from the bench she was sitting in to the ground, kneeling on the floor beside me.
That's right. I'm here.
She leans over me, the serene portrait of a heaven-sent angel. She's here. That can only mean one thing. My head doesn't hurt, my bag isn't sore despite spending lying on the cold stone floor for hours. I can hear and speak with Abigail.
I died, didn't I? And you saved me and brought me back here?
She rubs her face, a pained look on it that she can't brush away.
You're not quite dead, but you're not alive either. Rather, you're somewhere between life and death. Like me. That's the best way I can put it.
I can tell that her tone is supposed to be optimistic, but to me, she sounds entirely too cheerful for someone narrating my own demise. Still, I suppose this is better than the alternative.
Then, thank you.
Her smile gets just a little bit smaller.
Please don't mention it. Really, I'm sorry that we hadn't been just a little bit faster. If we had arrived sooner...
She looks away, guilt twisting her face.
It's okay. It's not your fault.
Even in my adult state, I know that much. I'm gonna lower the music, it's a bit loud. Oh, the game's dying again. Oh, there it goes. Every time I tab out for too long and do something, it just crashes itself. And look at the phone. Good timing.
Hello, Medicine. That's... You're not quite dead, like me.
Hi. I'm trying to get back to where we were until the game before the game crashed.
That's the best way I can...
I don't turn the volume down on the music. I almost forgot about that. It's already down. Never mind, we're good. I got speedrun, where was I?
Please don't mention it. Really?
It's okay. It's not your fault.
I think this is where we were. Even in my adult state, I know that much. I shut my eyes, hoping that this might be a dream, and that when I open them, I'll be safe and sound in my bed at the cabin. I'm not, of course. There's nothing above me but stone. I force myself to sit up. The motion catches her attention, and Abigail lunges forward, ready to catch me if I fall.
Oh, don't strain yourself.
But there's still no pain or soreness. Instead, it's like each individual part was switched off, and I have to reactivate them. Maybe that's not far from the truth. Once I sat up and able to stand without any issue, the heaviness falls away like a blanket.
I think I'm okay.
To demonstrate, I pace back and forth a couple steps, feeling like I'm just stretching my legs. I reach out and flex my fingers, staring at their strange, glimmering transparencies. The whole time, she watches intently, poised to intervene if something goes wrong. Nothing does, I'm fine. Relatively speaking. I look towards Abigail for approval with the most earnest smile I can muster. She visibly relaxes. I then sit down on one of the pews. Abigail sits down beside me. It's bizarre. Despite years of existential dread, I don't know how to feel about my own past tense death. Well, Abigail did say that it's not quite death. It's just not exactly like life either. Obviously, it's going to be a bit more complicated than that. But right now, it's helping to soften the blow a little bit. I look down at my hands. They're normal and clean, not bloating and turning purple like in the last few moments. The rest of me seems similarly plain. Apparently, I was well preserved. There's one difference I wonder about, though. I press my fingers to the stone that we're sitting on. Or at least I try to. When my hand just passes through, it doesn't feel like anything. Right. Next to me, Abigail does the same thing, pressing her hand in up to her wrist. Pressing her hand up to her wrist, she giggles as my heart skips a beat. Pressing her hand up to...
I'd forgotten how it feels at first. It's kind of wondrous.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Once you get used to it, it's really quite convenient. It'll just take a bit of time.
Abigail stands and gives me a hug. A huge smile, not huge. A huge smile, probably not realizing just how scary that thought is to me. I don't really want to spend however long it takes to get used to it like this. But she's clearly excited to talk. I am too, regardless of the circumstances. So I won't spoil the moment yet.
How long has it been since then? Since I... you know...
Even thinking of the word died causing my throat to constrict with terror. It's not death, I remind myself. If I can feel afraid, then it can't be death.
It's been over a day. You've been unconscious this entire time. I was afraid that perhaps I'd done it wrong, that you might not ever wake up.
But here I am.
I can see her eyes sparkle with tears. Despite the fact that I'm standing right here, even the thought of my demise almost makes her cry.
Yes, here you are.
How did you do it? I remember thinking that I was going to die, for sure.
She looks away from me, fidgeting with her dress.
As I said, we arrived too late to save your life. The cold had already set in, and you were so far from home. But we were able to save your spirit, your soul, the important part of you. And that's what you are now.
A spirit?
She nods.
That's what you are too, right?
Another nod.
Exactly.
Her voice is gleeful. I can tell she's excited by this. I can't blame her after 200 years of solitude. I'm sure that I would be too. But for me, well, this is a nightmare wrapped in irony. I came to Eisenfeld as a skeptic, and now I'm this. It's so overwhelming. What will my parents say, or will my friends back home? What about everything else I left behind? Never prepared a will or anything like that. I don't know what to think, what to feel. Suppose I should be grateful that I'm not truly dead, but at the same time, I don't know what I'm missing out on. Maybe it would have been preferable. Wish I could have at least said goodbye, especially to Tara. There's so much left unsaid. Wait, Tara. With a jolt, I turn to face Abigail. She flinches at how suddenly I move.
Do you know if Tara's safe? My friend, the one who came here with me. I thought I was following her into the woods, but it was.
The image of that fake Tara comes to mind, and with it, a wave of dread. The memory of it, memory of it, the memory of it is repulsive. Simply just how false it was, how unnatural.
She's fine. As far as I know, she was never in any danger at all. I'm so sorry, Madison. You were tricked.
Right.
Now relax a little bit. Tricked.
Tricked by. By whom?
Whom? Abigail looks uncomfortable once more.
I'm not sure what name she uses now. The mayor of the village. Whatever you know her as.
Oh, so she is an actual monster. Okay, that's good to know.
Evelyn.
So she's responsible. I'm not surprised in the least. The way she always seemed like a snake, coiled and ready to pounce. The bad feeling I had every time I interacted with her. She must have come by the cabin just to scope me out. She'd probably been planning this all along. I shudder.
Who is she really? Why would she want to kill me?
I'll explain it later, but I promise you don't have to worry about her anymore.
Clearly that's supposed to make me feel better, but it doesn't. Yeah, she's not a threat anymore, but only because she succeeded. I want to understand. I need to understand. Why would she want me dead? I guess I'll find out in time.
I just have one other question. Earlier, when you were talking about saving me, you kept saying.
Who else? Whoops, I skipped too fast. Now she regains that previous mischievous gleam that I've started to recognize on her.
Someone special. I'll take you to meet them if you feel you're ready for it.
I think so.
Ladora? There's nothing to be accomplished by sitting around feeling sorry for myself right now. I spent enough of my time in Eisenfeld doing that as is. Plus, I'm curious to see who might have helped Abigail. Who else could have known about her this whole time, yet kept her a secret? I stand up and absent-mindedly offer a hand to Abigail to help her up too. She takes it, then drops it immediately. Eyes wide and awestruck, she stares at it as if I'd sprouted a tentacle from my arm. Tears spring to her eyes, spitting out to form a thin river down her face.
What is it? What's wrong? Did I hurt you?
Your hand. I can feel it.
She's right. It hadn't even registered as different to me, but for the first time since we've met, I can actually touch and feel her there. She grabs my hand again, not standing. She closes her eyes as her fingers roam over mine, taking in the sensation. With anyone else, anyone on Earth, it'd be awkward. But somehow with Abigail, I don't mind. It's a little endearing, in fact. After a moment, she seems to realize what she's doing. With a yelp and a sheepish expression, she lets go.
I'm sorry, Madison. I just got so carried away for a moment.
It's fine. Really.
My skin still tingles with the feeling, vivid because of the absence of anything else. Abigail also gets to her feet, without my help. Together, we face the door to the church. They look like they've been untouched since I was last here. Morgan and Tara. I wonder how they're taking it. I wonder if they even know yet that I'm gone. It's quite possible Tara hasn't even come by the cabin. It could be days before she knows. I push those thoughts out of my head. It doesn't make a difference at this point. I'm still alive and cognizant, at least in some capacity. And as long as that's true, then there's a hope that maybe I can get out of this situation. All I can do is hope and learn. Swallowing my fear as much as I can, I take the first step towards the door.
Should we go meet your friend then?
Come outside. In the day or so that's past, the weather seems to have almost mellowed down. A thick layer of fresh snow coats everything, looking fluffy and inviting. A few clouds darken the sky overhead, but are nothing compared to the maelstrom that I got caught in. The occasional flakes that fall seem serene, not threatening. Of course, they pass right through me. Abigail leads me into the woods. I try to pay attention to how I can't hear my footsteps or her in the snow, and or how the cold doesn't bother me. It's convenient, sure, but it's wrong. The two of us walk side by side, deeper and deeper into the forest. This will be the farthest I've ever gone, since previously I'd never passed the church. Just like Morgan a few nights ago, Abigail seems to know exactly where she's going.
Abigail, can you tell me a bit about what it's like now? Being a ghost and all.
Abigail's face lights up, and she claps her hands together. She steps. Her steps become an eager skip.
Of course! I'd be happy to.
She clearly means it.
Where to begin? I found it to be quite convenient personally. As I said before, we're not ghosts per se, or at least not in the conventional way. Which is to say, we're not dead. It's more like we're somewhere between life and death. You and I are now fundamentally bound to the forest and to everything else in it. In the forest, everything is connected.
She frowns deeply, puffing up her cheeks.
This is harder than I thought.
I laugh. I guess even after centuries, never expected she'd have to explain all this to someone.
It's fine. Take your time.
Everything in the forest is connected. The trees, the grass, the birds, the foxes, everything. And that includes you and I, too.
Connected? How?
Abigail chews her lips as she tries to think of how to explain it. Her frown returns, deeper than before. Finally, she just shrugs.
Magic.
Magic.
That makes sense.
Pleased, Abigail nods. I still don't know what to think. I've only just woken up. I don't know how long it'll take for me to process everything and accept it, or if I ever will. Everything she says makes sense on a conscious level. I'm sure I could ace a test if someone were to ask me questions about it. But when I stop to think about how it affects me, about how these are now the restrictions and limitations that bind me, I stumble over nothing and clutch at my chest, feeling sick. But it's an important gesture. It's an impotent gesture. It doesn't help me feel any better. How? How can I be dead? How did this happen to me, of all people on Earth? This isn't fair. This isn't fair! I never wanted any of this. I never even wanted to be here. I can't keep my thoughts from spiraling. Every time I try to think about it, I'm just met with memories of dying and of fear. Fear of myself, and for the future, and what it might hold. Abigail rushes over, rubbing my back, as she croons in my ear.
Madison, it'll be all right, I promise. I know it's a lot to take in, but it'll be okay. I'm here for you. I'm here.
I'm here. She repeats those words over and over, stroking my back until the moment passes. Dizziness fades and waves, and I slowly stand back up. In all, my little episode must have lasted seconds at most, but it felt so long.
Madison, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine now. Or at least better. Thanks.
Her hands don't leave my back.
Are you sure? We don't have to keep going right now. We could save this for another day.
I brush away the notion.
It's fine. Let's just keep going. If I just sit and do nothing, I'm sure I'd feel even worse.
If you're sure...
Resume our trek. The silence drags on for a while. Abigail shoots me glances every now and then, as if I'll disappear if she looks away for too long. In a morbid way, it's kind of funny. I looked at her the same way not too long ago, but she was bright and radiant. Now I'm like saving a lot, and I'm dead, I guess. It brings a question to the forefront of my mind.
Earlier,
Abigail stops. I try to avoid eye contact.
you said something earlier about Tara. How it wouldn't be possible for Tara to even see me.
Correct.
She speaks with measured words. Despite how excited she's been, she's visibly holding herself back. Like any wrong word will set me off again. It's not too far from the truth.
But I was able to see you, even before all of this happened. So why couldn't she see me?
Abigail lights up again, a little pride beaming across her face.
That was projection. I've had a lot of practice. I'd be happy to teach it to you too, but it took me some time to learn.
I see.
Decades. Abigail laughs nervously, trying to hide her slip. We lapse into an uneasy silence again. Take deep breaths, trying to distract myself from the hundreds of questions weighing on my mind, but my breaths feel empty. The lack of cold wind glaringly absent as I focus, as if absent if I focus on it. It's bizarre. So I focus on Abigail. She leads the way, confidently. A passive smile rests on her face. She looks more at ease now than I've ever seen anyone be. I can't read, which is bad. Every step she takes seems to push us forward further than any natural pace. The words she said earlier replay in my head, but how the forest will help take us to our destination. We pass through a tree, but when I look back, it's meters away, if not out of sight completely. Magic. Being able to simply pass through any obstacles we encounter makes the walk much faster. Even so, I automatically step over debris or turn my shoulders completely to avoid scraping the trunk of a tree when I can. I feel the heaviness in my chest start to fade as we trek on. Abigail catches my glance and she smiles warmly. I smile back, genuinely now.
Did you spend much time in the forest when you were alive?
I did. However, I never traveled very far. Why do you ask?
I was just thinking about how you know your way around so well. It kind of reminds me of the girl I met here in the village, Morgan.
I've had plenty of time to see it all. It's simple too, once you know how to do it. As long as you know where you're going, the forest will guide your way there. I'm certain you'll get the hang of it someday.
I force an agreeable smile. In spite of everything, talking feels good. Talking about anything, so I try to keep the conversation going.
What was Eisenfeld like back then?
Much the same as it is today, as far as I can tell. Quiet and isolated. We rarely had any visitors. Even news of the outside world, or the rest of the country, was slow to arrive. But I longed for it, for the stories that would occasionally make their way to us. Sometimes friends of my father would head into the city for a few weeks, taking the goods that we had grown and made to trade, and bringing back things we lacked. And they'd return with gifts for all of the children, my sister and I, or the little boy across the road. Gifts and stories about wondrous devices they'd seen, or about the marvelous people they'd met.
Steps slow and then comes to a stop. Her eyes take on a far-off, dreamy look.
When I was alive, I always wished to see it for myself someday. Instead, I had to satisfy myself with books and with other people's stories.
Voice trails off, ending with a hum of satisfaction. Remembering something but not speaking it. Wait quietly. Doesn't feel like the kind of moment that I should interrupt. Soon enough, she looks over at me with what I've come to think of as her typical smile.
I'm sorry. I hadn't really thought about these things in a while.
It's okay. I hope they're not painful memories.
She shakes her head.
These ones aren't. What about you? There are so many things that I want to know, but I hardly know where to begin asking.
Abigail points up to the sky, devoid of any clouds right now.
Machines soar overhead day and night, but I've never known what they are. Or watching as Eisenfeld becomes more modern, but not understanding. I want to understand.
She looks at me expectantly, like I could quickly rattle off all the major inventions since her time and how they've changed our lives. From the way the corners of her eyes glimmer with tears, it's clear that just how badly she wants to know. It must be horrible. It must be horribly frustrating. She mentioned machines overhead. She must mean airplanes and satellites. How unbelievable would it be to sound to her that enormous metal crafts can fly through the sky and carry hundreds of people? Or about cars and how just about everyone owns one. I need another 200 years and then some just to catch her up on what she's missed. And thinking about that, just for a second, I feel like maybe I understand her loneliness just a little bit better. Abigail quickly straightens up, maybe realizing that she was being kind of childish. She adjusts her impeccable collar and dodges my eyes.
I'm sorry. Again. That can wait.
You're fine. I'm sure I'd feel the same way in your position. After we meet your friend, I'll tell you everything you want to know. Or at least everything I can. I'm not exactly the best storyteller, and I'm not very good at explaining why things work, but if that's still enough?
I phrase it like a question, even though I already know what her answer will be. Sure enough, she springs towards me, skipping past like a stone.
Oh, would you? I'm sure you're wonderful at telling stories. I could tell from the way you read to me back at the church. Do you remember?
Like I could forget. That's a day I'll remember for the rest of my life.
Is it? Why's that?
She crowds up close to me now. To be honest, she reminds me a bit of a film camera, zooming in, then out, then leaping past the focus on something else.
Well, that was the first day that we spent time together, right? And that's when you showed me your name.
Abigail goes very still. Several times, she looks like she's on the verge of saying something, her mouth fluttering, or her half gesturing something. But each time she stops.
I suppose it was. I just didn't realize it was that significant to you.
Of course it was. That day changed everything for me.
I bite my tongue just from saying more. Things didn't exactly change for the better. Deeper and deeper we go. The forest gradually grows quieter. The rustling of creatures underfoot get less and less frequent, and then stop entirely. The birds chatter less and then not at all. Even the wind settles down. Abigail is the only one who doesn't act any differently. She still hums to herself or glances over her shoulder to make sure I'm still there. Like I have anywhere else to go. As we get further into the woods, the snow is thinner, and some places are totally without it. There are even a few patches of green, something I'm pretty sure shouldn't be possible given the weather. Trees, which have been growing claustrophobically close together, start to spread out a bit more. I gasp when I see what's ahead of us. Hello, Decker. A grove of immense trees, larger than I've seen before, lies before us, like the redwoods back in America. They're so huge as to seem to hold up the sky. Totally bereft of snow. A few deviant branches hold leaves. Defiant branches. They cast shadows over Abigail and I, and everything around us. An aura of life pervades the area. My skin prickles. The sensation is vivid, running up my arm like a spark. More than the church, where we are now, feels like a holy place, something sacred and primal. As we pass by, I have the distinct feeling that I'm being watched from all sides. The back of my neck is slick with sweat. I brush my forehead as the pressure of being observed starts to hit me harder.
What is this place?
I don't mean to, but my voice comes out as a whisper.
We're at the center of the forest now. These trees are the oldest ones here. They're the ancestors of all the rest. All of the life in the forest comes from here.
I believe it. There's a quiet vibrance to this place. I walk a little bit slower, feeling as if I don't want to cause a disturbance. It's the gay ghosts. Yes, it's the gay ghosts. I trail behind Abigail, who seems totally indifferent to the atmosphere. It makes sense. She's probably been to it, and she's probably used to it, and this place's luster has worn off on her. I can't help but gape without the snow that I've gotten so used to elsewhere. It feels like a wholly different place. Another world entirely. Abigail leads me around one of the massive trees, and my jaw drops even further. Crotch. There, crouched in a small clearing, is the forest spirit from the other night. The same one that stood in the storm and scared the hell out of Tara and me. Somehow it's much smaller now than it was then, though still several feet taller than me. Yet, oh, I'm being called. You're back. I'm dumb. I was muted still. I forgot about that. I'm back from the phone call. I'm just going back real quick. Things happened. The game crashed. We're back here. I'm gonna read this over again because I realized I was muted. Like a dummy. Yet one look into its glowing, its piercing red eyes, and eyes? Yeah, eyes. And I know it's the same. It's been looking away, but turns to face us. Body creaks and cracks as it moves, like an old door rattling in the wind. My breath catches in my throat as I fight down the instinctive rising terror. Marks and scars decorate the bark that forms its skin. Though it has a vaguely human form, its body is clearly wooden. Little trees wind together, interlocking to shape its body. It regards me with a kind of indifferent stare, similar to when we first witnessed it at the church. The impossibly red glow of its eyes is subtle now, and the previously winding and dying trees look more like its body is merely hugging itself. I look to Abigail to see her reaction, but she just watches the two of us with a slight smile, waiting to see what happens. That's when it hits me.
This is your friend?
That's right.
She acts as plainly as if she just introduced me to a fellow human, not a mythical creature. Abigail leaves my side to go to the spirits, and she nuzzles her head against its side like a cat.
This spirit is the guardian of the forest. It helped me save you, just like it saved me long ago.
It shifts slightly to accommodate her, standing a bit taller. It makes no vocalizations though, nothing close to speech.
I see.
I don't know. I don't really. Visions of its tall and imposing profile against the stormy skies really clashes with what's in front of me right now. But still, I know she's telling the truth. I'll take a fraction of a step forward. Take a fraction of a step forward, expecting it to bare its teeth or warn me off somehow. It doesn't react though.
Does it have a name?
If it does, I don't know it. I just think of it as the forest spirit.
I think back to how Morgan had first described it as if the forest itself had come alive. I don't think she knew just how right she was. Its namelessness makes it feel even more wild and untamed. I can feel myself being regarded and judged by it, and I'm tempted to turn tail and run. I force myself to look up and to meet its gaze. Its diagonal gaze. When it stands still, it's unnervingly silent. It reminds me of a grotesque scarecrow, in a sense. From my peripheral vision, I can see Abigail look between the spirit and me, probably wondering if she should say something more, or, knowing her, wondering what to say. I preempt her.
I've come to say thank you for intervening and for saving me. Abigail told me that you helped. I don't really know how I can ever repay you. I owe you my life. Or, well, whatever's left of it.
I'm not sure what I could ever offer a supernatural tree spirit to begin with. Its eyes watch me. Impassive. I swallow the lump in my throat and keep talking.
I don't know what happens now either. I'm still getting used to all of this. But again, thank you.
Then, not knowing what else to do, I bows stiffly and steps backwards. Still, it doesn't react. The bird's gone, though. The birds are gone. The whole thing is awkward and uncomfortable, but as with everything else, I'm at a loss. I can't have a conversation with a thing, and the details of what exactly it did are sparse. It feels like a waste to have to come all this way for just a few sentences, but I'm not sure it understands those. It occurs to me that I have no idea how much the forest spirit knows, or even cares, about the affairs of humans. I guess it might care at least a little since I'm here? The spirit turns its head to face Abigail, who smiles and pats its side. She says something to it, but I'm too far away to hear what. Then, as wordless as ever, the spirit rises and lumps off into the forest without a second acknowledgement. Abigail watches it go, then she turns and faces me with a bright smile.
So what did you think?
She has all the pride of a child with a new toy. I stare after the spirit, still barely visible between the trees.
I
love how I keep interrupting the thing, because I go back into the same menu.
I'm part grateful, part terrified, part shocked. When I saw it before, I thought it had to be a monster or something. It just seemed so ferocious and huge that I assumed it was evil. So seeing it like that is weird.
It's certainly intimidating at first. When we first met, I was also rather fearful, but I quickly realized how kind and gentle it was. At least towards me.
I'm still brimming with curiosity over Abigail's own history, but she's made it clear that she doesn't want to tell me yet, so I won't press to her about it.
Why wasn't it enormous this time?
It can make itself larger or smaller at will. The night that you saw it, it must have had a reason.
And you're able to talk to it? And understand it?
No.
Not quite. I speak to it and it understands me, but it doesn't have any words or language. Some of its mannerisms I've picked up over time. We've had quite a long time to get to know each other after all.
Right.
Abigail walks over and links her arms around mine. I startle at the touch, but more so how casual she is about it.
Ready to go back to the church? Unless you'd rather stay here, in the forest. I imagine you'd be more comfortable with walls and a roof around you for now, though.
Yeah, I would be. Let's go back.
Arm in arm, she leads the way back. Are we switching characters now? We are. I'm now Morgan.
God damn it.
We're in Evelyn's private drawing room. Tara is kneeling in front of the back door, wiggling a paperclip around in the lock. It looks like she's never done it before.
Tara, let's go. This is a bad idea.
I'm not leaving till I get in here. She knows something about Maddie. I know she does.
I look around the room. I've been in here plenty of times, but never into the connecting study. Evelyn hasn't so much as opened the door to it with me in the room. I'm trying to forget telling Tara about it, though. If we don't get out of here.
I'm not disagreeing, but this isn't going to help. We need to...
Shit!
She hisses and pulls her hand away. Her fingers are brightly red, and she holds them to her mouth.
Are you okay?
I think it burned me. What the hell?
What the fuck?
Screw this. Let's just break the door down.
No, we can't do that. She takes a step back from it. It looks like she's ready to kick it. I put my hand on her shoulder. Really can't think of a worse idea right now. She'll just end up hurting herself.
Listen to me. We have to get out of here. Trust me.
She doesn't move to kick it. She doesn't move to kick the door, but she also doesn't seem to have heard what I just said.
If she hurt Mads, I'll kill her.
Terror vibrates in my hands. In this state, there's no telling what she'll do if I weren't here to stop her. She'd probably be lighting a fire in the corner of the room or something by now. I can't let her get hurt anymore. I can't let anyone else get hurt.
Listen, Tara, I've tried to force it open before. I think she has some kind of ward on it. No matter what we do, I don't think we're getting in there.
I'm not sure what Tara hopes to find in there anyway. Even if it is locked, I doubt Evelyn is arrogant enough to leave any real clues lying around in there.
There has to be some way in. There has to. We'll get at that office and we'll find out where she took Mads. I don't care how much weird magic bullshit Evelyn's got. We're gonna rescue Mads.
Still hasn't given up hope on She still hasn't given up hope that Maddie's alive. I wish I could share her optimism. All I can feel is guilt. All of this was my fault. If I never asked him to come here, no one else would have been hurt.
Tara, we need to go. Whatever burned you probably alerted Evelyn. She could be on her way right now.
My friend is playing Final Fantasy XIV online, opening and closing it very often.
No, we can't give up now. Mads needs us.
Tara, we need to consider the possibility that...
Tara wheels towards me and grits her teeth. I can't tell if any of the anger she's feeling now is for me. If it is, I can't blame her. She hasn't been willing to face the truth of the situation. But she has to face it eventually.
Then what, Morgan? That she just killed my friend? Do you seriously think she'd do that to Mads just for looking around the woods?
Yes, I do.
My voice is colder than I mean for it to be. I instantly wish I could take it back. But she still doesn't understand. I get that she doesn't want to face the idea of Maddie being dead. But she can't ignore the dangers we're in. The look in Tara's eyes, however, say this isn't helping right now.
I'm sorry. You're right. We don't know for sure yet. But we can talk about this later. Right now, we really need to...
Behind me, the door to the room slowly creaks open. My heart stops. I can't move. I can't turn around. I already know what I'm going to see.
Good morning, Morgan. Tara.
Playing daggers smile. Instantly, a dash between Evelyn and Tara. Nothing good can come from these two being in the same room together. I have to keep them apart. Evelyn just laughs. The sound of her voice makes me want to run, but I can't.
You both seem so on edge. I'm sorry you don't seem to find my drawing room as relaxing as I do. Maybe it's time for some redecorating. How would you feel about a more earthy palette?
She crosses the room to the window and leisurely picks up one of the curtains, pretending to examine it. I can feel Tara behind me, seething and getting angrier by the second.
No opinions? You come into here uninvited, and you'd think you could at least pretend to be polite.
As she glares at me, I feel the temperature in the room drop instantly. I used to think it was something that was just in my head. I've changed my mind about it recently. It really is getting colder.
You never could, though, could you? You never could play along. Always so obstinate. You have to fight every step of the way. Just like when you were young. Always cutting your own hair short. Because nothing was ever good enough for you. The clothes I bought, the food I made, and you had to control just one thing.
A rush of heat and cold crawl on the nape of my neck. A rush of shame. Emma's mouth twists slightly, just enough, into a smile. And she breathes a freezing laugh of pride.
When was it you realized you couldn't even hold scissors anymore? And you ran around town begging someone to cut your hair.
I'm sorry. What?
No wonder no one else ever wanted to be around you. I imagine that's why you had to look all the way overseas to make a friend.
She shoots a glare at Tara, baring her fangs in a grin. She's not even trying to hide what she is.
And well, look what happened to them.
That's too much for Tara. She's been quiet this whole time, maybe for the same fear that gripped me, but now she steps forward. I hold out my arm to prevent her from getting too close.
What the hell did you do with Maddie?
Evelyn turns back around to the window, barely acknowledging Tara at all. She stares out. She stares out it, absent-mindedly.
You know, the forest is a very dangerous place. Every year, it seemed, there would be a new death. Someone would go missing in the winter. We wouldn't find them until the spring thaw.
She turns around, the look on her face so placid and empty. I've never seen anyone so completely devoid of empathy.
That's why they're off limits now. That's why we have the curfew. There hasn't been a death like that in almost 10 years. Something we are very proud of.
Okay then, that's sad. She turns back to Tara again and takes a step forward. Somehow the room seems to get even colder as she does.
That is, until your friend. It's honestly frustrating that she would ruin our record so selfishly. I wonder if she had any idea of the headache she was going to cause me.
She shakes her head. She's smiling again.
Enough of the bullshit. Mads wouldn't go out there and get herself lost. She wouldn't.
I'm getting another phone call. Lovely. I'll be back again. Life is great for a busy gamer. Anyways, I love this. This is great. We're back. How long? I don't know.
She's way too cautious for that. You did something to her and you're gonna tell me, or I swear to God.
Evelyn looks up. Her smile is gone and her eyes are as sharp as her fangs. Tara goes silent the moment those eyes are on her. I'm shivering too, with my arms close to my body. The air seems to crackle with ice. After I take a step backwards, but Tara won't budge. I'm sure if it's out of anger. I'm not sure if it's anger or fear.
I've been so patient with you, Morgan. Endlessly patient. With you and your friends. A mother's patience never wears thin.
Except.
But then, I never was much of a mother, was I?
No! Don't!
Tara is raised in the air, bound by an invisible force. A look of fear spreads across my face. I reach out my hand, but it's too late. Behind me, Tara rises slowly in the air.
What? Morgan, help! What's happening?
Her eyes are wide with terror. Tears well up in my eyes. I have to do something.
Please, don't! You don't have to!
Evelyn's mouth shifts slightly to one side. She looks so disinterested. Doesn't even take pleasure in it. She barely notices us and what we feel.
How many years did I give you the carrot, Morgan? How many? Eventually, you'll have to learn.
And just like that, Tara shoots backwards and slams into the wall so hard the whole room shakes. She crumples to the ground in a heap. She's not moving. Evelyn doesn't move as I run to Tara and lean down to look at her. She's awake, still twitching.
Tara, don't move! Just stay still! You'll be okay!
Well then, please make sure you put everything back where you found it. The maids have enough work as it is.
My heart starts to beat faster. The heat in my nape of my neck spreads down my back. But instead of the howling pit in my stomach that's supposed to follow, I feel my shoulders stiffen. My breathing gets slower, more controlled. The edge of my vision starts going dark. I feel myself biting down on my own lip. I look down and see my fists are clenched so tightly my knuckles have gone white. For the first time, I don't feel any fear. Just hatred. With that, she turns away. The room instantly returns to its normal temperature. But I'm still freezing. Her heels click on the hard wood. I get quieter as she leaves. She stops at the door.
Have a lovely day, girls.
Evelyn disappears and the door slams behind her. I still can't move. It isn't until Tara lets out a loud groan that I snap back to my senses.
Are you okay? Did she break anything?
I don't think so.
Can you stand?
She makes it halfway up before stumbling. I grab her and throw my arm over my shoulder. She winces and lets out a tiny whimper.
Let's get back to the house. I've got a first aid kit there.
As long as I get to lay down, we can go wherever you want.
Of course. You can use my bed. Come on.
She takes a few shaky steps before leaning against me. It's a start.
I think you're gonna have to take the lead on this one.
Jesus fucking Christmas. What in the name of hell have we gotten ourselves into? Tara does her best to help me get her up the stairs. Well, whether it's due to injury or shock, she's barely able to stay standing while leaning on me. Climbing a staircase is difficult, but at the moment, there isn't really anywhere else I can take her. When I open the door to my room, Jayla Dora is in the center of the bed, cleaning her paws contemplatively. She doesn't look up to us.
Come on. Let's get you on the bed.
I expect Tara to give me some kind of knowing look as she stumbles over to the bed, but she doesn't. She just nods weakly, and Tara collapses. That was the funny animation. Tara collapses face first over the sides of the bed. Jayla Dora doesn't even budge as it shakes with the weight. She acts like she doesn't even notice.
Teladora, move please.
No response. She just continues slowly raking her tongue over her paws. Ever since Tara and Maddie got here, she's been particularly abstain. I wish I knew why. It's hard to not be frustrated with her, especially with everything that's happened today. I do my best, just gently force her to move by climbing onto the bed next to Tara. Teladora finally looks at me, paw held indignantly in the air.
There's plenty of room on the floor.
Tara shoots back up, yelping and almost knocking me over. She doesn't seem to notice as she just stares down at Jayla with wide eyes.
Did your cat just talk?
Jayla cranes her neck around to look at Tara and then speaks again.
No.
Her voice is languid, and drips out of her mouth like syrup. Tara's eyes dart back from the cat to me, to the cat again, hoping for some kind of concrete response.
Yeah, I told you.
Grace lights up with newfound energy. The lines of pain that had creased it disappeared in an instant.
I knew it! I knew I could trust you!
Did you really, though? Truly.
Sure, it was weird that you didn't actually talk, but I get it. Shy around strangers. That's valid, and also, big mood. But I knew it. I knew you weren't lying.
Sure. I smile. After everything we've been through together, a part of me feels warm when she says that. My chest grows with a warmth I've only felt around Tara. After everything, it should be obvious that she believes me. But Tara's sincerity catches me by surprise every time. Isadora doesn't seem to find it as endearing. She rises, methodically, then pauses towards the foot of the bed. I'm worried about her. Every month she's gotten more and more cat-like. Well, this was the first time she doesn't speak at all. And we're so close to the full moon now, she's not going to get much stronger than this. I can't help but wonder how much time she has left.
Giladora, how are you feeling?
She looks up at me with her bright blue eyes alive with magic and intelligence.
I feel hungry. Did you bring me food, Morgan? I don't think you did.
She stares at me. The expression on her cat face is unreadable.
I didn't. I'm sorry, Giladora. It's been a difficult morning.
Morgan looks at Tara.
You don't have anything, do you?
I don't think so.
I think I have a melted chocolate bar in my pocket, but can magical talking cats eat chocolate?
Isadora regards Tara silently. Her white tail swishes slowly across the bedsheets. Then, without saying anything or giving any other indication of her intentions, she turns and hops onto the windowsill.
Giladora, wait!
No. She turns her head back to me and gazes into my eyes. I feel like I'm being measured. I always feel that way around her.
No.
Damn.
You wait.
What? She turns away and sways her tail lazily.
I will be back.
And with that, she leaps from the window to the branches of the nearby tree. She slips through them like a rush of white water until she's gone from sight. Tara and I sit there quietly for a few minutes before she finally speaks.
Your cat is weird.
Definitely.
Yeah, a little.
Tara smiles. Morgan smiles back. Why am I talking in the third person? The two sit together. Giladora is gone for hours. I need to talk to her. Things have changed so much today. I think she'll know what to do. I hope she will. In the meantime, I tend to Tara. She protests at first, saying she's fine. I don't doubt she thinks that, but I want to confirm that for myself. Eventually, I'm able to convince her to let me look. Her back is essentially one giant bruise. But that's it. It doesn't look like anything was broken, at least. It's a relief, but maybe we were just lucky. Maybe next time Evelyn will do worse. There's no telling what she's capable of. I can't let anyone else get hurt.
So what's the deal with gelato?
Giladora. I open my mouth to speak, but before I can, Tara cuts me off.
I mean, I know she can talk. Please don't say she can talk. You're gonna say she can talk, and I'm seriously asking you don't. I want to know what her deal is. Promise me you won't say she can talk.
I promise I won't say she can talk.
You just did, though. Tara nods.
Her name is Giladora.
Tara stares at me for a second before we both laugh.
Okay. Her name is Geldorado.
God fucking damn it.
But like, why can she talk? I've met a lot of weird cats, but none of them could actually talk.
Well, it's because she's not really a cat.
Of course.
Sarah tries her best to sound like she's completely understood the situation now, but it's obvious she hasn't. I take a deep breath.
Jailadora isn't a cat. She's a fairy. I don't know a lot more than that. I know Evelyn cursed her to be in that form. Her memories are hazy though, and it's only been getting worse. She wasn't always like this. She's been around as long as I can remember. She only started talking to me when I was 12, but even back then, she's forgetting she was ever a fairy. I'm worried that soon she's not going to be anything other than a house cat.
Sarah nods, seemingly taking everything in, and then she's quiet a moment, thinking about it.
She doesn't really seem that helpful.
I nod my head sadly.
She used to be. I'd have never known anything about what Evelyn was without her.
I bite my lip.
For a long time, she was my only friend. She was the only one I could really trust. I still believe in her. I still believe she can help.
I look away. Even if I'm telling her my story, there's still so much I'm not ready to share about growing up here. I don't know if I'll ever be ready.
I know it sounds like I was just a lonely little kid looking for a friend, but I promise she has the knowledge we need in there somewhere.
Sarah starts to lean towards me, while letting out a grunt of pain as she moves. I gotta push her back down into bed, but before I can do that, her arms wrap around me. She gives me a gentle squeeze and I lean into her in response. I want to hug her too, but I know that wouldn't be doing her back any favors. So I sit there and let her hold me. Try to take refuge in it. Try to remember that I'm not alone.
You don't have to make excuses. I believe you. And I'm sorry you had to grow up like that. It's their loss that they didn't stick around to see how cool you turned out to be.
She pulls back and grins at me. That same goofy grin I've seen hundreds of times before. But it's so much better in person than it was on the screen. It's exactly what I need right now. Tara and I wait out the day, watching dumb videos on the internet, trying to take our minds off things, if only for a moment. They take longer to buffer than to watch. It's dark by the time Jailadora slips back through the window. She's quiet, but even if I hadn't seen her, I'd still know she was there. Something about the air in the room changes when she enters it. Same as Evelyn. Jailadora thinks we were close once. She doesn't know how, but I believe her.
Hello, Jailadora.
Meowdy!
Morgan stops slightly at Tara's greeting.
How's your hunting?
Looks at me as if if ever a cat could give a self-satisfied grin, I swear she would right now. Her voice seems so luxuriant in it.
It was good, Morgan. Much better than your hunt this morning.
She jumps into my lap and rubs her head against my hand.
How does she know about that?
I know much about Evelyn.
Her voice is deep as stone, and the rumbles in her throat with a purr. She stops rubbing my hand for a moment and looks up at me.
And Evelyn knows everything about you. What did you think would happen, cursed child?
I hate when she calls me that. I spent years dealing with it looming over me, and the last thing I want is her rubbing it in. Even more, I hate that she's right. I should have known this would happen. I should have kept Tara from going to the office. But I never imagined Evelyn was that strong, and Tara's paying the price for my failure.
Evelyn is as good a hunter as any cat. She'll never let her prized vessel out of her sight. She's watching you even now, Morgan. And when the moon is full, she will finally strike.
And then, still in my lap, she curls up and closes her eyes. I'm not going to get any more out of her tonight. Tara doesn't say anything for a while. She looks contemplative, even. But when she does speak, she asks the question I knew she would.
Why'd she call you cursed?
I wish I could lie. I may be the first. It may be the first time I've ever wanted to lie to someone other than Evelyn, but I can't. Tara deserves to know what she's involved in.
Because I am.
Tara just stares at me, half in shock. She quietly waits for me to continue. I hesitate a moment before continuing regardless.
Evelyn is not my real mother. My real mother died before I was born. And whatever Evelyn
Ow.
is, she took her body.
How could you, Rez? Why'd that go through the computer speakers and not... Why'd that go through my computer speakers? What the hey? Why did that go through that speaker? That makes no sense. Weird. Oh well. That's a bit rude of you to bonk me like that, Rez. Out of the blue, get bonked.
She's done it to our family for years. Jeladora and I pieced it together from town records and scraps of my mother's diary. Every couple decades, she has to change hosts. And
I look into Tara's eyes. This is the first time I've ever told all of this to anyone.
And you're next.
Tara says the words I don't want to. I nod.
Evelyn's going to make her move on the night of the full moon. That's what Jeladora says.
Raz, why? What do I do to you? Bro, how could you? I close my eyes. I know she's right, but I don't want to admit it, even to myself. The full moon is so close. And then I feel a hand gripping tight on my own. I open my eyes. I see Tara staring right back into them.
Wow, that's a lot. And, like, it's really hard for me to know what to say here, but thank you for telling me. We're gonna stop Evelyn, and if it has to be before the moon is full for whatever reason, then we'll do that and we'll save Mads. We'll stop her, I swear.
She's smiling, so big and so broad. She sounds so damn confident. I want to believe her. More than anything, I hope she's right. For the first time in my life, I want to trust someone. We're going back to Maddie? Back to Maddie. I'm starting to get used to it. Just a little bit. I've done my best to keep my normal my regular human schedule as much as I can. Going to bed at night, waking up in the morning, even if they're unnecessary. They help me feel a little bit more like myself. Like not quite everything has changed, hunger or not. I'd kill for a cheeseburger or something though. I don't know what I'd do without Abigail. She's never far from my side. And she's my anchor through all this. Endlessly supportive and positive. I know that she views my circumstances, well, differently than I do. That she enjoys having me here, but I can't fault her for that. I still can't fathom the depth of the loneliness she's felt with nothing but a silent tree spirit for company. The days that we spent together have been pleasant enough, but I still don't want to accept this fate. I can't. I rise from my spot on the stone floor. Sunlight pours through the stained glass window to the church, and has been for some time now. There hasn't been much snow since the storm that I was caught in. All of my time has been spent here in the church, or exploring the woods with Abigail. I try to see the charm of some of the places she's taken me, but they all feel the same. Trees, and rocks, and snow. In varying combinations, the forest may be huge, but it's stifling in how repetitive it is. Keep hoping that Tara and Morgan might come by so I could at least see them, even if they can't see me. So far, they haven't. I look around the church, expecting to see Abigail waiting like usual, but she's nowhere to be found. I can hear her, though, from just outside the church, singing. I move through the doors to watch. Just a few feet away, she stands with her back to the church and me, her arms outstretched, but not fully. She sways softly as she sings. And God, how she sings. Her voice has a lilting cadence, and not even the wind dares interrupt or quiet her. It's unreasonably beautiful. The kind of voice that if you heard it on the radio, you'd have to pull out your phone to see who you're listening to. And to think, I get my own private concert like this. Raise the sky, and I don't need to be able to see her face to visualize the smile that I can hear in her voice. The song she's singing is wordless, but still beautiful. I wonder if it's something she came up with herself. Imagine her spending years playing with melody, or maybe she's just making it up as she goes. I noticed then that I'm not the only one watching. A small flock of half a dozen or so birds crowd around her feet, watching in rapid attention. They hop around, occasionally cheeping to join in. She waves a hand and they flutter about, never perching on her, but never leaving either. In the trees, just barely peeking out, a young deer observes as well. It isn't close enough for her to touch, but close enough for me to count the spots on its belly. It's just like something out of a cartoon, where she's the fairy tale princess who's friends with the wildlife. I wonder if it's because of her in particular, or if the animals don't feel threatened because we're spirits, not flesh and blood. All too soon it's over. Her voice fades away without wobbling, and the birds instantly disperse. The deer bounds back into the woods, invisible. She turns to face me.
Good morning, Madison.
I'm blushing, and I don't know why.
Good morning. That was amazing.
Thank you. I hope I didn't wake or disturb you.
Nah, not at all. Besides, if I'd known, I'd have gotten up early just to hear more.
Aw, you're flattering me.
No way, not at all. I mean it. You have a beautiful voice.
Now she's blushing too.
Thank you.
How did you learn to do that without scaring away the animals?
It wasn't really a matter of learning. It just happened naturally, over time. I sing for myself, first and foremost. I think eventually, they realized that I wasn't a threat.
It seems like they were enjoying the show too.
It's quite the compliment if even the birds like my song.
There was a deer too. You might not have seen him though. He was kinda hiding in the bushes.
Oh, was he? I'll have to introduce you next time. He's quite friendly too.
Really? You know him?
Most likely. I suppose it could have been a new deer. I'd have to see him to know for sure.
Nowadays, there are these things called petting zoos, where you can pay money to walk around and pet tame animals. Like deer and sheep and pigs. I've never heard of them just making friends with people, though.
That sounds marvelous. Have you ever been to one?
Not since I was a lot younger. They're mostly for kids.
Adults in the modern world sound awfully boring in that case.
They sure do, Abigail. They sure do. I agree with you on that. Abigail walks to my side, standing close, like she always does. I wonder if it's intentional. Together we face the forest. Touches my arm so lightly that I wonder if that's intentional too.
If you're feeling up for it, there's some place I'd like to show you, here in the forest. It's one of my favorite spots.
Of course, lead on. I'd love to see anything that you think is special.
We Besides, it's not like I have anywhere else to go. I refrain from saying that out loud. I am genuinely interested in what she wants to show me. I like spending time with Abigail. But I hope that she'll also be willing to answer some more of my questions now too. Having fun together is nice, but it just feels like a distraction from the matter at hand. Speaking of hands, Abigail takes mine, ever so gently.
Let's go then.
We take off at a brisk pace, but the distance falls away faster than normal. I'm borne along by her boundless enthusiasm, and surely more than a little magic. Trees fly by at a blur, impossibly fast. It's like being on the train again. Like snowflakes, they melt into my vision far faster than I could ever notice. The speed is some gift of the forest, I imagine. A consolation for what's done to me. Our footsteps are formless against the snow. We're walking in the air. It's the same as when I first met Abigail. That feels like an eternity ago. For at least a couple hours more, I try to push those thoughts away so I can enjoy whatever it is she wants to show me. I want to enjoy this. For my own sake. For her sake too. I have trouble thinking of anything other than her. The gentleness in her grip, the light and joyful way she moves across the ground, the certainty with which she pulls me forward. Every so often she turns around to make sure I'm still there, but I'm sure she is very aware of our interlocked fingers. I know that I am. I guess I can add that to the ever-growing list of feelings of sort through. The forest shifts even faster than it did a few days ago, when we first visited the spirit. It is too fast for me to keep track of any reference points. If I try to focus on one spot for too long, I get a little dizzy. So I stop focusing on that and just go with the flow. Eventually, Abigail slows to our pace, and the passing of the forest reverts to a normal rate as well. At first glance, it seems like any other part we visited, but when I look closer, I start to notice small differences. Some trees are devoid of snow, with piles of it beneath them, as if someone brushed them clean. Others are decorated with strange paint-like streaks of color, mostly blue, but some are white. On other trees, icicles dangle from the branches and give off a strange glow. When I approach the examine one, the glow dims. Abigail pays it no mind. This must not be strange to her. Either. This must not be strange to her either. I hurry to catch up, though she has only gotten a few steps away.
We're almost there. It's just up ahead.
Through the trees, I can already see where she's taking me. Flashes of brilliant pink peek out just ahead, mostly obscured by the barren, brown trees. I don't have time to be curious about what they are before we arrive. A splendid grove of colorful trees spread out before us, surrounding a small pond that must be enchanted. The leaves that hang from the trees are salmon pink, flecked with trickling lights. Lavender bushes crowd their bases, sparkling with dew or magic. While snow covers the ground all the way up to the shores of the pond, the trees themselves are devoid of it, much like the forest spirit's home. I wonder if the two are related somehow. Even more remarkable is that the pond itself is also unfrozen. Its glassy surface is smooth, save for the occasional ripple of spreads across. It's small enough that I can see the clear across the other side. It takes its place. It makes this place feel even more secret and hidden. I could wander the forest for years and never stumble across it. I move slowly towards the water. This place deserves calmness.
Oh, Abigail. It's beautiful.
The water laps at my feet, though remains undisturbed. Like a vampire, I have no reflection, a fact that I pointedly try to ignore.
Where are we? What makes this place so special?
This is one of my favorite places. Isn't it lovely? As for what makes it special...
Her eyes twinkle conspicuously, spiritorily.
Fairies.
There's a beat of silence. I feel like I should be surprised at an answer, but I'm not. After everything I've seen, fairies are downright mundane. I remember her mentioning them before, too. I look around, wondering if I've missed them hiding somewhere, but I don't see anything. Abigail laughs.
Just as decorators. They aren't around right now. They much prefer the nighttime. They're far more active in the moonlight. You can still see traces of them, though.
As an example, she cups one of the icicles, like baubles, that hangs from the trees. Inside, a faint light beats like a heart, dim enough to be invisible in the daytime.
I'm sure they're around, watching. But I've only met them once myself. It may be years before you do.
There it is again. The promise of eternity spent like this. I bite my lip.
I think that's okay with me. I've had enough magic for 1 week.
Yes, understandable.
She walks back to the shore of the pond and sits down. Take a seat beside her.
Really though, thank you for bringing me here. It's nice.
I'm glad. I wanted to show you that not everything about it is bad. That unlife does have its own little moments of niceness.
I look at her, but she's staring pointedly away, towards the pond. Her cheeks redden a little bit.
Unlife is a good word for it.
Do you think so? I worried before you woke up that I would have forgotten how to speak or forgotten words. I talked to myself to keep in practice, waiting for a day when I would meet someone again. That's also why I sing, so that I don't forget how much I enjoy it, even if nobody listens. I know that it's silly, but sometimes a bit of silliness can be what helps me keep going.
I don't think it's silly at all. Besides, if I could sing like you, then I'm sure I'd do it all the time too.
I could teach you, if you'd like.
Oh no, you don't know what you're getting into. I'm pretty sure I'm unteachable when it comes to singing. You'd have birds flying miles away instead of coming to listen.
He laughs.
Come now, I'm sure it can't be that bad. I knew nothing of singing when I first started. I simply practiced and practiced. Everything gets better with practice and time.
My singing voice has got to be the one exception.
My middle school choir teacher even told me that there was no way I would ever be a singer. It was one of the most traumatic days of my 12 short years back there.
In all of existence?
Out of everything.
In that case, I suppose I must hear it, just to know. You can't promise something like that and then not demonstrate.
Damn.
No way. Not happening.
What if we sang a duet?
Definitely not.
Oh, you're no fun.
She playfully swipes at my shoulder.
Are there any instruments that you do enjoy? Any that I've heard of, that is?
Piano. I've taken lessons since I was a little girl.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. I miss it.
I flex my fingers, staring down at them, remembering the feeling of keys. Even before coming here, It's been a while since I played. I don't think I ever consciously stopped. It just happened over time.
Most of the time, the only music I'd have the opportunity to listen to was during prayers, or the occasional traveling performer. Sometimes I'd convince Mr. Braun, who played the organ, to show me some of the pieces he'd learned in the city.
She says it with a sly smile, sharing some private joke with me.
Do you remember the names of any of the pieces? I wonder if I've heard of them.
Oh yes, there was...
She bites her nail, thinking about it.
Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue.
She squirms, wiggling around like she's hoping the memory will fall into place. Finally, she shakes her head.
Maybe not. It seems I've forgotten. Do you think there's a chance, though? Are you very familiar with songs from, well, my time?
Some of them, yeah. A lot of the most famous and respected composers come from those days. From this part of the world, too.
Abigail sighs wistfully and looks off into the distance.
I'm glad to hear that. They must be magnificent to be remembered so many years later. How nice that must be, to leave behind a legacy, to be missed.
Be missed. The way she says it is wistful, a dreamy sigh, like something that she longs for. I glance over, half expecting her to be crying, but her face is steady and calm. She catches me looking and smiles.
I'm sorry. I'm just feeling a little nostalgic.
You don't need to apologize. I like hearing what's on your mind.
I'm glad. It would be rather unfortunate if, after everything, we didn't get along.
We both laugh at the idea.
I do have another question, though. A personal one. I know you said I can ask you anything, but...
I meant it. Please, go ahead.
Well, before, you said that you've never even tried to... go back. Escape. Whatever the right word for it would be. Why is that? Doesn't it bother you, being stuck like this?
Abigail scratches at the soft dirt beneath us. Of course, her fingers move impotently through it, changing nothing.
If you don't want to answer, that's okay.
I don't mind. I'm just thinking of what to say. So, I suppose that you've been thinking about it a lot, right? How to... go back.
I nod.
Almost constantly. I don't know if it's possible or anything, but... Don't get me wrong, I'm beyond grateful that you saved me at all. But it feels like... like we're so close to being alive, but not. Everything's changed, but at the same time, it's like nothing has. I don't feel much different, but everything's different. I have a whole life out there. Or at least I did. I can't just forget about it. Or move on, or give up, or something.
I understand.
It's quiet, and I wonder if I went too far. If I asked something that I shouldn't have. In a lot of ways, it's one of the most intimate and personal questions I could possibly ask. Then she shifts around to face me better.
I didn't have much left once I moved on. My family, and those I care about. I had no desire to return to them. And then time started to pass. At first the days felt slow. Torturously slow. I did nothing but sit around and mope, never straying far from the forest spirit who had saved me. But then I started to explore more, to get to know the forest, find moments of happiness. I was still terribly lonely, of course. It has been, until you got here. but I can honestly say that I didn't hate it. I sang, I watched, I found my own joy where I could. Eventually, time left me behind. The people I had known grew old and died. I'm sure many forgot about me long before I forgot about them. At some point, there was nothing for me to want to go back to. The rest of the world outside this forest is just a maze that I don't know how to navigate. Here in the forest, I know nearly all there is to know. There's no grief or loss or pain. There's just peace.
Before I can respond, she stands up, brushing away imaginary dirt from her gown.
Would you feel up for another walk through the woods? Perhaps this time I can show you where the wisest, most handsome-looking owl nests. It's been so long since I've said hello to him.
She offers me a hand. I take it, and the obvious subject change. She helps me to my feet.
Sure. Let's go.
With a smile, she leads me back towards the trees. So many of the conversations that I have with Abigail are painful reminders, either of the years of solitude she's endured, or of what I can look forward to in my own future. Both make me very certain of one thing. I'm glad that she's here with me. Ooh. Okay. Back to Morgan. It's been days since Evelyn attacked Tara, since Jaeladora spoke to her. Days of fruitless searching for Maddie, and Tara still trying to act like she's okay. She pores over every piece of local history we can find. She makes jokes. She tells stories. She pretends she isn't losing hope every day we don't find Maddie. She's lying. It's her body that tells the truth. She pulls me closer when she's under me. She stays in my arms for longer than she did before. I doubt she ever noticed she's doing it, but years spent hiding my emotions have made me pretty good at spotting it in someone else. Is she doing it for me? For herself? For both? That's another thing I can't know. I still don't know.
Morgan?
Hello. I can hear Tara's voice calling from the kitchen. Smell the smoke a second later. I'm out of the bedroom. Before I realize I'm moving, my mind fills up with a million possibilities. What if Evelyn's already here? What if the cabin's burning? What if...
I think I owe you a new pan.
Tara burnt our food again. Tara is fidgeting nervously. A cloud of black smoke billows from the pan on the stove. I can't even tell what was supposed to be in it. Whatever it was, it's charred coal now.
You guys don't have, like, a fire extinguisher in here, right?
No. I had a breath I was holding. I should have just panicked like that. Shouldn't have just panicked like that. I'm just glad she's okay.
We don't need one. Let me see that.
I walk past her and grab the pan before she can say anything. I open the door and toss whatever it was in the pan into the snow. I ran a rag under the tap and toss it to her.
Why don't you get the smoke off the wall before it stains? I'll take care of this.
I'm still coming down from my adrenaline. I have to make a conscious effort to say it as gently as possible. I don't want her to think I'm mad at her. She fell, again. Tara seems happy being given something to do. She smiles and tries to salute, but with the wrong hand, she ends up slapping herself in the face with the wet rag. I swear she does stuff like that on purpose sometimes. While Tara scrambles to duty, I start washing out the charred remains still clinging to the pan. After a few moments, Tara shuffles nervously behind me.
You don't cook much, do you?
Does not cooking at all fall under not cooking much? Because if so, yeah.
Then why did you...
Her eyes flick towards the counter and I follow her gaze. There's a tray sitting there. It's a mess. A piece of clumsy sliced fruit. A cup of liquid. Blackened toast.
You were making me breakfast.
Tara looks guilty.
Yeah, well, you know.
She looks down and starts fidgeting with her shirt.
I figure that since we're leaving the cabin, it'd be a waste to just leave it here. And I don't know, you've been really helpful and stuff. And I thought maybe I could pay you back a bit. But I just wasted the food anyway.
My mind reels. I can't utter a single sound. I don't really have any friends. The few people I'm on good terms with never do anything like this. Evelyn stopped preparing meals for me the instant I could make them for myself. Even when she did, they weren't much more than leftovers of what she made for herself.
It was a dumb idea. Sorry.
Tara and Morgan confirm their feelings for each other with a tearful kiss. My body moves on its own, my arms outstretched in a wrap around her. Before I know it, I'm reaching out up to her face and pressing my lips against hers. The minute I actually process what I'm doing, I pull away and drop my arms to my side. We both stand there awkwardly for a moment before I'm about to speak.
Thank you.
You're thanking me for screwing up making breakfast?
I'm thanking you for trying.
Oh, right. I guess that makes sense.
I doubt someone like her would understand why this means so much to me. She has good people in her life. Random acts of kindness must be a commonplace for her. But for me, I've never been treated as anything but a tool. I spent years turning the idea in my head, thinking that I deserved it. It was easy enough to believe. So this moment means more to me than I could possibly say. If ever I actually knew how to talk to people, I couldn't do it. The best I can do is try to repay in kindness.
Maybe we could make something together? After all your videos have taught me, I'd be happy to teach you a few things in return.
Are you sure? I mean, I literally know nothing about cooking. All I do is slow you down.
She's protesting, but the smile on her face makes it clear how much she really wants to do this. Seeing that grin in person is way more radiant than seeing it through a screen.
That's okay. I'll take the lead, and we can go slow.
Take her hand again. She squeezes it, and I squeeze back.
Now, let's start with teaching you how to use a stove without burning the house down.
That's probably a good one to know, yeah?
I got some sausage from the fridge and tossed them in the now clean pan before putting it back on the stove.
Okay, so you're going to want to have the heat a little lower than the absolute maximum for this one.
I figured the higher it went, the faster it would cook.
It would, but also that's faster it will burn.
Technically, you're right, but that's also how you burn things beyond recognition.
I moved behind her and put her hand on the pan handle, pressing against her back to move her hand side to side.
Keeping it in motion is a good way to make sure it cooks evenly.
Right, cool.
I take her through the basics. She handles instructions surprisingly well. It helps that she's eager to learn. After the sausage, we move to toast, then coffee. She's sloppy, but she makes it work.
You're doing great. I'm impressed.
Well, doing it with you is a pretty effective motivator.
Very subtle.
When am I anything but?
She finishes up with the eggs, then sits down to eat. She powers through her meal, finishing before I'm even halfway through.
Holy shit! That was so good!
Looks like you're a better cook than you thought.
Oh, please. That was like 25% me at most. But thank you. I definitely learned enough to surprise Mads when she gets back.
The mention of Maddie instantly sucks some of the joy from the room. Nice as this has been, I know it's only temporary shelter from the cloud still looming over our heads. Her smile doesn't falter at all, but I can see her eyes twitch slightly after she speaks. I wish I could think of something reassuring to say. I tried to just agree with her, but I know how hollow it would sound. But once again, she pushes it back inside. I know how that feels, although I have a much harder time smiling afterwards.
And the best part is that we don't have to wash any of the dishes since we're leaving after this.
We're washing the dishes.
God
Oh,
damn it.
come on!
She reluctantly drags herself over to the sink and remains seated to continue eating. A few seconds later, Kara reappears casually.
Hey, quick question. It should be okay if we leave Maddie's stuff here, right? I'd hate for her to come back and be missing all her super important films.
It should be fine. With us out of the way, Evelyn won't have any reason to focus on the cabin anymore.
Hey, Morgan, can you come here for a sec?
I jog down the hallway to find her staring at a hefty black bag sitting in the hall.
What's that?
It's Mads' camera equipment. I was just thinking that maybe we should shoot a video before we leave.
Like, film an episode?
No.
Not quite. More like a summary of what's happened, for reference. Kinda like a black box in a plane. That way there'll be a record. Something that could help anyone else who decides to look into this.
A dead drop.
Flinches at the term. It's probably a bit too morbid for her liking.
It's worth a shot. I can help you film it.
Are you sure? That's a professional quality camera. Even I don't know how half the shit it does works. That's Maddie's domain.
I'm sure I can figure something out. It can't be too hard to get the basics down.
I grab the bag and sling it over my shoulder, then grab the tripod with my other hand.
All right, let's get to work. Okay, so, wait, let me...
Hang on, I think I've got it.
No, that's just going to access the archive. We need to get the focus right for the main shoot.
Things aren't going well. Neither of us can figure out how to work the camera. My only contribution has been getting it on the tripod. Most of the terms Tara's using flies over my head. He claims that Maddie's the one who knows all about how to make it work, but even her limited understanding is worlds away from mine.
I'm sorry. I wish I could do more.
Don't sweat it, you're doing fine.
Lie.
Maddie never taught me much. She, makes the videos. I just do the talking.
Her voice is quiet. Maybe this was a bad idea. All it seems to be doing is making her miss Maddie even more. I'm sure as hell not good enough to replace her. At least I finally managed to get the camera to a point where it's actually filming.
Oh shit, you got it!
She's humoring me. The picture isn't even close to being in focus, and I somehow managed to make the colors seem to be more washed out than in this private place already is. It doesn't look anything like her most recent videos.
I can do better. There are still settings I haven't tried.
Tara claps me on the back, a bit too hard. It's so obvious.
Don't worry about it. The stuff is confusing. Maybe the blur will make it look more mysterious or something.
Sure.
She leans against the tree in front of the camera. On her signal, I hit what I hope is record. I give her a slight nod and she's off.
Hello, everybody! Welcome to a very special Not Quite an Episode of Terranormal. We've had a lot of crazy shit go down in the past couple weeks, so Morgan and I are putting this together to make sure we don't miss anything. Who's Morgan, you ask? She's our inside woman, as they say. We wouldn't have found any of the stuff I'm about to tell you about if not for her, and she's been a hell of an assistant, too. Mads would be manning the camera right now, but, she's not here right now. It's complicated.
Her voice dips for a moment before launching back into her professional cheeriness.
So, where to begin? Well, I suppose I should start with a little story about a spirit, also known as the only time I've had fun in church.
Ha 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 ha. She launches into her story without having to take a single moment to think about it. I feel like I'm watching her transform in front of me. Her uncertainty is gone, her anxiety is gone, that melancholy I'd pressed enter too quickly by accident. Her certainty is gone, her anxiety is gone. That melancholy she's had inside her since Maddie disappeared is gone. It's like she's glowing. I wish I could tell her how wonderful it is to see, but I know I'd never be able to say anything like that.
Anyway, that's pretty much all we have right now. Hopefully Mads will be back soon.
I hear her voice shake for a fraction of a second. She corrects it instantly, but I know I heard it.
I'm not gonna lie, there's some bad shit out here. Maddie got caught up in it somehow, but it's nothing that's gonna last. Am I in danger too? Sure, but that's nothing new for me. You're talking to a girl who nearly got eaten by a bear because park rangers suck at their jobs. I'm just making this so we don't have as much to go over when we find her. The dry air out here is killer on my throat, so I could use the help.
She coughs loudly. I'm not sure if it's real or just for emphasis.
And Evelyn, if you find this, know that we're gonna make you pay for what you did.
Her voice breaks again. This time it's unmistakable. Maybe this was a bad idea. It takes a minute before she starts talking again. Her voice is shaky. Her face has this strange expression I've never seen before.
I'll do whatever I have to do, you know? If you're watching, I want you to know that. Can you just give me my friend back? Can you just do that now?
Tears begin to flow down Tara's cheeks. She seems to crumple as she continues speaking.
I'll do anything, I swear. I don't care if we don't find any more evidence. I don't need anything else from this trip. I just want Maddie back.
I just can't watch this anymore. I leave the camera and run to her side. Put my arms around her and I feel her body sink into mine.
I'm sorry, Tara. I'm so sorry.
I run my arms tighter as I feel her legs give out. It's all I can do to keep her upright as she starts to sob into my shoulder. Unease settles in my chest. I've never had to do anything like this before. But I have to try. I have to do something. Ooh, it's time. It's deviation time. Better mourn. This is, oh god. Bruh. Everything that's happened has been my fault. There's probably nothing I could say that would make up for that. Maybe I shouldn't say anything. Just hold her like this. Physical comfort is all I'm good at, after all. I'll take care of her. It's the least I can do. I lower her down to the ground slowly. I don't even feel the snow on me.
Take your time. Getting it out will help.
This is all such bullshit. Why would she take Mads? She wasn't causing any trouble.
She grabbed handfuls of my sweater, where her hands rest against me. I don't stop her.
I could have helped her. I could have talked this out with her, but I didn't. And because of that, I
squeeze her tighter. There's nothing else I can do. I give up on thinking of something to say. I'm better at saying nothing anyway.
I should have let her stay home. I should have listened to her when we were out here.
She pulls away from me and sits down in the snow. She smiles. It's a bitter, broken smile. The kind of smile you can only form when you don't know what else to do.
I just keep ruining things, huh?
Tara, you aren't the reason the two of you came here. I was. This is on me.
She has to know I'm right deep down. I don't want her to hate me. But I'd much rather she hate me than hate herself. I hold Tara. Hold her with as much tenderness as I can. And she breaks into heaving sobs on my shoulder. Feel her body rocking with loss and pain, and her hot tears fall and freeze on the ground below us. I let her feel the extent of her grief. The pain I can never understand. The pain of loss, of losing someone important to you. Meeting Tara I've only just started to know what that bond is like. But I can't compare to what she has with Maddie. Tara's wailing grows muffled as she buries her face in my chest and hugs me tighter. Hesitantly, I stroke her hair in return. Time passes. Eventually, Tara grows quiet. She sniffles and shakes in my arms, but relaxes with each breath. I never found any words to say. We sit there together until finally, Tara lifts herself from me, her face red and puffy. She gives me a weak smile and wipes her face. I start to back up the camera as she cleans herself up. It seems like this might have helped after all. I should probably just leave it be and head back with her, but one thought keeps burning in my head. I have to tell her.
Tara. I'm going to make sure you get Maddie back, no matter what.
She stares at me, like I just spoke to her in another language. Then she finally gives me a smile that doesn't have an ounce of sorrow in it.
I know. If anyone can, it's you.
I know I'm not sure what she meant by that. I hope she's not thinking of the same thing I am. Probably thinks I'm just talking big, like I'm some brave knight about to kill a dragon. I wish that was true. I'm thinking about the one way I know I can save her. The way that only I can. And that's to give Evelyn what she wants. Me. We don't talk on the ride back. Tara doesn't even fidget. I figured the wet pants would make sitting still even harder for her than it already is. But she's completely still. It isn't until we stop in the village that she speaks.
I hope you don't think I'm mad at you for bringing us out here.
You aren't?
Nah, I know you just wanted to make something good happen for all of us. Things just didn't work out that way is all. Besides,
Her voice trails off into mumbles. After a moment, she takes a deep breath and restarts.
Coming here meant I got to meet you. I'm sure as hell not complaining about that.
I'm sure you've met plenty of fans in person.
Yeah, but you're not just a fan. Not to me. You're a lot more than that.
What are you saying?
She suddenly looks away from me. I think she's trying to hide the fact that she's blushing. Poorly.
I don't know, just I haven't ever really met anyone like you before is all.
For a moment, strange thoughts fill my head. I wanted to say more than that. I don't know what I want it to be, but I just want more. But I know better than to ask for that.
If it helps, I haven't met anyone like you before either.
Well, I could have told you that one. I am one of a kind, you know.
No argument there.
I'm having a hard time looking at her. I don't know why. This is a new feeling. I push it away and reach for the carriage door instead. There's a weird air in the carriage now.
Let's get inside. We still gotta figure out how much of your stuff we can fit in my closet.
I mean, I could just leave some of my clothes on the floor. That's what I do at home.
Not happening. I like being able to see my floor.
Can't blame a girl for trying.
I can't help laughing. She laughs too. She's going to be okay. I know she will. And I'm going to make sure she stays that way. Back to Oh god. Oh dear. They just left the cabin and am I just going back to the cabin? Oh god. But now I've all but given up on being able to see Tara again. I can't abandon the idea without at least trying to get through to her. She deserves to know that I'm okay. At least okay as I can be, given the circumstances. At first, Abigail was hesitant about interacting with other people. I don't blame her. After 2 centuries of solitude, talking to 3 complete strangers within the course of a few days would be a pretty jarring shift. Despite that, she understands how important this is to me. She also warns me that we can't venture too far in the village itself. The magic of the forest only extends so far, and there's no telling what would happen to us if we went past it. The border of magic isn't clear-cut, so she makes me promise to stay close to her. Just in case. I really am lucky to have someone as accommodating as her with me. Even if we fail, it means a lot, and it means a lot that she is willing to try. To fill in on what to expect from Tara in Morgan's personality is do my best. To fill her in on what to expect from Tara and Morgan's personalities. Do my best to be as charitable as I can when telling her how likely Tara is to really flip out when she sees the ghost. Once she's fully prepared, we make our way to the cabin. The empty cabin. It's empty. There's not a trace of that anyone has been in here in days. All of Tara's things are gone. As an instant relief, it seems like a planned exit.
Did you find something, Madison?
I can't but flinch as Abigail floats through the wall next to me. Incorporeally is one of those things I haven't been able to get used to.
I think so. It seems like the 2 of them went back to the village.
I'm not going to entertain the idea that she went home early or anything like that. It's not in her nature.
Do you think so? That sounds like it would be dangerous. Why would they put themselves in danger like that?
I have no idea. Hopefully we can ask them ourselves.
Abigail starts to back away, looking down at the ground.
Madison, of course I'll do my best to help you. But I feel like it would be remiss of me if I didn't warn you to not get your hopes up. It took me years to be able to manifest myself. The chances of you being able to communicate with them so soon are low.
That's okay. I didn't have much hope to begin with.
I don't like being this dour about things. But I don't see how else I'm supposed to feel. She looks stricken by my words, and I hastily try to gloss it over.
I mean, hey, you never know. If you can do it, maybe I can come along with you. The 2 of us together are bound to be able to accomplish more than we could on our own.
Together.
Looks down, grabbing handfuls of her gown. She agreed to come with me before, but it seems like she's having second thoughts.
What's wrong?
It's just that accompanying you would mean returning to Eisenfeld again. I haven't returned since, well...
Oh no. I never even thought to ask about that. I've tried to avoid talking about her death as much as possible. Here's as it sounds, it feels like it would be rude in a way, invasive. But I should have at least checked with her before suggesting we make our way back there.
I'm sorry, Abigail. I didn't mean to.
To my surprise, she hurries back towards me and gently bumps her head against mine as she closes the gap between us.
You don't have to apologize, Madison. I agreed to help you, and I'm going to honor that commitment. Besides, maybe it could be good for me. I can't avoid going back there forever. And having you there will make the burden of memory much easier to bear.
Conviction combines with her invasion of my personal space. Makes my face flush red, and for a moment it looks like she's worried. She upset me. I gave her the best smile I can manage. After years of making Tara normal, I'd hoped maybe a bit of Tara's charm and social skills would have rubbed off on me. You haven't.
If you say so. As long as you don't feel like I'm forcing you or anything.
Not at all. You've been nothing but kind to me, Madison. I want to repay that kindness.
If anything, I still feel like I'm indebted to her for saving my life. I know she wouldn't see it that way. done my best to be polite, but I haven't exactly made any grand gestures to thank her.
Thank you, Abigail. Really.
Of course. Now then, shall we?
Lead the way.
Every time Tara and I visited Eisenfeld, we were stared at everywhere we went. Now, seeing everyone walk by Abigail and me without so much as a glance is surreal. Abigail gazes at the buildings as we pass by, occasionally pointing out ones she remembers from her time. Her voice is a strange mix of excitement and melancholy. I'm not sure if I should encourage her mood or try to comfort her. As we enter the town square, we start to encounter larger groups of people. Each time one passes close by, Abigail grabs onto my arm and moves closer to me. She's scared of crowds, or is it something about the villagers themselves that has her shaking? I'm tempted to ask her, but I think better of it. For all I know, this fear could be connected to the way she died. My mind runs wild with possibilities. Maybe she was burned at a witch, or cast out of the village. This definitely isn't helping. I need to focus. Thankfully, it's not too long before we reach Morgan's house. I just hope they're here, and more importantly, I hope we can reach them.
Are you ready, Abigail?
I'm ready. Let's go.
We face through the wall and into the kitchen. And there they are. Tara and Morgan. During breakfast, close enough to touch them. I'd give nearly anything to be able to hug them right now. My feelings are a mixture of guilt and elation and worry. But more than anything, I'm glad she's okay, both her and Morgan. I need to talk to Tara. There's so much I need to say and ask.
Tara! Can you hear me?
Morgan, this is delicious. How the hell do you know how to make all this stuff?
Apparently she can't. She doesn't even look in my direction. Dora? You here?
Most of it I picked up from older folks in the village.
Come on,
The
Dora.
rest I pieced together from random cooking videos.
We're counting on you, Dora, for being here and being a Catholic talk.
When all this is said and done, remind me to give those channels a shout out in an episode, because this rules.
Try to wave my hands in front of their faces, hoping that maybe movement will convey that what my voice clearly can't. Once again, no reaction. Morgan leans forward, Tara passes right through me.
Maybe you'll learn enough while you're here to make a few cooking videos yourself.
Are you asking because you actually think that'd be good, or do you just want to see another video where I almost burned my house down?
Yes. Morgan shrugs and gives Tara a small smirk. When Tara chuckles in response, I feel another surge of sadness. I know I shouldn't have expected this to work right away, but I'm still crestfallen. Having them this close hurts in a way I couldn't have imagined. All the time I spent feeling ignored while I was alive feels so trivial compared to this.
So what's the plan for today? Got anywhere in town we might be able to hit up for local lore?
Most of the official records of town history are sealed up in Evelyn's office, so those are off the table. But we might have some luck checking out older buildings around town. She's done a good job of cleaning up evidence of what Eisenfeld used to be, but maybe you'll notice something I didn't.
Sure, I mean, it's worth a shot.
Voice barely contains a trace of fire. The trace of the fire I'm used to. I have to hope, at least, the remaining traces a sign she'll regain the fire someday. At least she's not alone. Morgan reaches out and puts her hand on Tara's shoulder, breathing gently. When she speaks, her words are soft and strained.
Are you going to be okay?
What do you mean?
After yesterday, if you need some time to rest, nobody's going to blame you.
Tara looks down at her feet. I can't read her expression, but the low volume of her voice tells me all I need to know. A quiet terror is a worrying rarity.
I mean, I guess a little time off could help me, as long as we get right back to looking for Mads afterwards.
Of course.
I feel like I should be hurt that she's not focusing on finding me. But I'm not. Just glad that she's got someone with her to keep her from burning herself out. I don't feel any kind of power within me that I could use to manifest myself. Abigail's my only hope. I turn to her trying to keep my voice level despite my desperation.
Abigail, do you think you can manifest? Even if I can't reach them, maybe you can.
Abigail nods, but she's frowning. My heart wasn't exactly soaring, but I can feel it sink even further.
I'll try, but whatever power I had that allowed me to appear to you has felt much weaker since I used it to save you.
Abigail closes her eyes and starts to lift higher up in the ground. As I watch, I feel a strange feeling in the air around me. As if bending around her, being pulled aside so she can step to the border between our worlds. For a minute, it seems like it's actually working. I'm trying to figure out what exactly I'm going to say when I feel the energy in the air start to fade. Abigail seems to be struggling, furrowing her brows as she sways in the air. Her face scrunches and guilt stabs me with a knife. Are you in pain?
Abigail, stop. It's okay.
Maybe if I just try a little harder.
I reach out and gently take her hand, lowering her to the ground. She opens her eyes, breathing hard. As much as I want to see Tara, it's not worth making her feel like this.
It's okay. I promise. We can try again some other time.
Abigail gives a faint nod and stares down at her feet. Her hands ball into fists as her shoulders rise and fall.
I'm so sorry, Madison. I don't understand why this is happening.
There aren't any rulebooks for this sort of thing. I don't blame you for not knowing about things most people think are impossible to begin with.
The disappointment I'm feeling takes a backseat to concern for Abigail's well-being. I've already put her through a lot by making her come here in the first place.
We knew beforehand that this was a long shot. I'm just happy I got to see them again.
Are you sure?
I'm not, but I know that if I tell her that, she'll want to try again. Better this way.
I'm sure. You've done more than enough by coming with me.
I look back at Tara and Morgan, taking what I pray at my final glance at them. To my surprise, Tara's leaning against Morgan's shoulder, while Morgan's arm is wrapped around her back in a loose hug.
Thank you. As messed up as all this is, I'm glad that you're the one helping me get through it.
Tara's voice is soft, and it carries a vulnerability I don't think I've ever heard from her before.
Same here. We make a good team.
Tara raises her head to look at Morgan. Their faces inches apart.
We should have a team name, like the Dream Team or something.
We'll work on it.
I already had a feeling that the two of them had something together before all this happened. I'm not that surprised, if I'm being honest. Stuff like this has happened before with her, but it's always a one-night stand or some kind of quick fling. Never the kind of thing that would merit real vulnerability. Then again, she's never been in a situation like this before. Maybe losing me brought out a part of her I never knew she had. As if in response to my thoughts, Morgan leans forward and kisses Tara. It's a lot more than a simple peck on the lips. This is something deep. So deep, in fact, that I have to turn away. It seems wrong to spy on something that's intimate. Next to me, Abigail has also turned away. Her face is a bright crimson. Her hands are close to her cheeks, her chest. I don't stop to consider that this is the first act of intimacy she's seen in 2 centuries. For all I know, this could be the first time she's ever seen 2 women kiss.
You okay?
She looks up at me, slightly alarmed.
Yes. I'm okay. I just wasn't prepared for something like that.
Trust me, I wasn't either.
Abigail pauses for a moment, closing her eyes and taking a calm breath. A small smile crosses Abby's face. What was that? Sorry, wait, I just noticed something on my phone. What is this? Sorry. A small smile crosses Abby's face as she blushes, her wide eyes softening.
It is nice though, isn't it? A love like that can give someone incredible strength.
Yeah, I'm happy for them.
I really am. Maybe this will help her cope better now that I'm gone.
But we should probably go. I feel really weird being here for this.
Of course. Maybe we can try this again another time.
In the door, where are you at? Her words lack conviction, but she doesn't protest. I'll have to think of some ways to cheer her up once we get back to the church.
Hey, do you want to maybe...
The front door creaks open, all four of us freeze as we face the entrance. Evelyn stalks in and slams the door behind her. She doesn't say anything, but neither do Tara and Morgan. Tara's shaking and Morgan places a protective arm in front of her as she glares at her mother. I shiver too, desperately wanting to look away but feeling unable to. A part of me screams to do something, anything, to get her away from Morgan and Tara. Yet, there's a stronger part of me screaming, I need to leave. I need to get out of here. But I feel just as frozen as the day I died. I feel Abigail on my arm, pulling me backwards. She pulls my body through the connecting walls, and only when Evelyn is out of my vision can I breathe again. Abigail presses against me, just as stunned as I am. I try to keep calm, telling myself that she doesn't even know we're here, that she can't hurt me anymore. Evelyn passes through the door and by the corner where Abigail and I are lurking. And she stops. Slowly, her head turns to look where we are, where there's otherwise just empty space. She's so close I can see her face contort in recognition and shock.
Madison!
I jerk my head towards Abigail to see that she's already staring straight ahead for the wall, waving for me to follow her. Enough to snap me out of my trance, I run to her, casting a backwards glance at Evelyn to make sure she isn't following us. She doesn't move, but her eyes track us as we run. Right before I pass through the wall, her mouth opens.
How?
I don't stick around to find out what she says next. Abigail and I run as fast as we can, phasing through buildings and people with reckless abandon. After what we just saw, all other fears feel inconsequential. By the time we're back in the forest, it's clear that Evelyn has no interest in pursuing us, for now at least.
Madison, are you okay?
She puts her hand on my shoulder, pulling me closer to her. My head throbs painfully, my breathing is shaky, but her touch grounds me.
I'm not sure, but I'm a lot better now that we have some distance between us and her.
I look backwards towards the village, half expecting her to come flying at us like some kind of demon.
She saw us, Abigail. How is that possible?
Abigail looks down at the ground and I realize she's shaking as hard as I am.
I wish I knew. Madison, she said something to you before we left, didn't she?
Yeah, I didn't catch all of it, but I think I know what she was going to say. She looked shocked when she saw us. Confused, even. I think she didn't know about us being out here.
Abigail's voice is barely above a whisper when she speaks. Her face is drained of color.
But now she does.
The message is clear. As long as Evelyn is in Eisenfeld, we can't be. I'm sorry, Tara. I'm sorry, Morgan. But it looks like you're on your own. Oh, no, more voices! The midday sun sits high in the sky, setting everything aglitter. The vibrant music of the forest, the pitter-patter of dripping snow, the chitter-chatter of birds, and the accompanying breeze is especially loud today. The events of yesterday are a forgotten nightmare, and so today we must be a dream come true. Madison stands with her back to me, into the church, facing the forest. Her head is tilted back, ever so slightly. For the first time, she looks truly at peace. For the briefest moment, she's framed by the sunlight. Then, perhaps sensing me watching, she turns around and smiles at me. I can't help but smile back. Without a doubt, the past several days have been the happiest of my extraordinary, extraordinary long existence.
Good morning. Did you sleep well?
Yeah, I did. It's getting a bit easier.
That's wonderful.
I know that that isn't true. That she tosses and turns, inside until early in the morning. I know, but I understand. Whatever it takes for her to feel more comfortable, more at home. I wish that I knew how to help. For me, sleep was the last thing on my mind after I passed. I explored endlessly, backtracking over and over again until I knew every step of these woods. I made the most of my situation as best as I could, and rather well, if I do say so myself.
What would you like to do today?
Let's go back to that forest clearing. The one where the fairies live? I'd like to see it again.
My soul sings that out of everywhere we've been, that would be the place she wants to return. I rush to her side, drawn to her presence like a magnet. Simply being near her makes me happy. Part of my mind screams at me that I don't deserve it. Same way that she doesn't deserve to be so miserable. Still, I put on my brightest smile as I touch her arm.
That sounds perfect. I'd like nothing better. Shall we go now?
Yeah, sure.
As is tradition, I lead the way out of the church and towards the forest. The trees and branches are invitingly familiar and old. I ask the forest to take us to the clearing, and I can feel it ripple in response. Not physically, but in my heart, I know that the forest is listening. It's difficult to explain. So much of this experience has become habit and routine for me that I keep taking for granted. Difficulties Madison might be going through. The emotional turmoil, coupled with the way her own understanding of the universe itself keeps changing, I feel another pain in my heart at that, a stab of guilt once more for enjoying her presence. Madison accompanies me unhesitatingly. Her steps more confident than they used to be. We walk side by side. I relish the closeness. I wonder if it ever crosses her mind. The porch on back. Oh, real quick to turn the porch light on. It's dark outside already. When we reach the clearing, Madison sighs contentedly, relaxed and easy. A tranquil expression settles on her face. Like a masterpiece of art, I'd spend the whole day appreciating that look if I could. The grove's serenity is contagious. I also feel a little more at peace here. We head for the shore of the pond, as still and glassy as ever.
I really love it here. It's so calm.
I nod. Of course, we've discussed it before, but I don't mind. I could listen to her talk about anything for any amount of time.
It actually reminds me of somewhere back at home. There's a little lake near where Tara and I live. Sometimes I like to go and sit down there to think. There are a ton of geese and ducks around too. Sometimes they won't leave you alone, so you just have to ignore them.
I envision a flock of birds surrounding Madison, all quacking and vying for her attention.
Maybe they want you to sing to them too.
Madison laughs, sweet and subtle. It's the most beautiful sound in the world.
Nah, they just want food. It's really popular to go down and feed them. Moms do it with their kids a lot. But then the birds get so used to it that they think every human has frozen peas for them.
They must be disappointed quite often then.
Yeah.
She trails off, looking wistful. I'm sure that she is thinking of home. I try not to ask her much about her life before I met her, because I know that the memories hurt. To my surprise, though, Madison clears her throat and continues talking.
I wish that you could see it someday. My home, I mean, in America. I think you'd like it there.
I'm sure that I would. I'd love to see any place that you care so much about. All of the buildings and the lights.
I try to envision what it might be like, but it's futile. There's so much I don't know, so many things that I haven't seen. Trying to imagine it is like trying to imagine a color that you've never seen before. No matter what she says, it's impossible to envision. Even the memories I have of the few times I left Eisenfeld have long since faded. To me, the only world that exists now is the forest.
I keep thinking, in your time, what would I have been like? Would I be the same person if I never fell in love with films?
Films?
Oh, it's like a play that you can watch anytime. They're really compelling.
I see.
Madison moves her arms a little, looking like she wants to say more, but eventually just shakes her head. She smiles a bit sadly.
There are so many things like that. Films or events in history that are so normal to me, but that I keep forgetting you don't know about. So if I ever say anything that makes no sense at all, I can try to explain.
There are a lot of things I've wondered about, it's true. For instance, sometimes I'll see great noisy machines up in the sky. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Madison giggles again, but I don't know why.
Yeah, those are called airplanes. They're kind of like giant carriages that carry people around. That's how we got from America to here.
What? Don't tease me like that. There's no way something like that could fly.
No, it's true. It's really true. They're the fastest way to get around the world. There are also these things called cars, which are much smaller and only fit a few people. But most people own their own car and use it to get around.
Do you have one?
I do.
Why not use that to cross the ocean?
He laughs again. I don't know why. At first, I feel embarrassed. The gulf of knowledge that I lack nearly as wide as the ocean that she claims to have crossed. But then she steps closer, placing her arms around me in a light hug. Again, I don't know why. It's lovely. I feel myself relaxing, leaning against her arm and just enjoying the closeness, the comfort, the affection. Far too soon, Madison relaxes and I regretfully pull away from her. She gazes up at the sky, and for a brief moment, I anticipate another lesson about the modern world.
I've been thinking a lot about what you said the other day. About how you've never wanted to leave this place.
Yes, I'm far too cowardly for that.
In many other ways, too.
I don't think that's cowardly at all. It's difficult to leave behind what you know and what feels safe. In fact, it's really scary. I know that the two don't really compare, but before I decided to quit Terra's show, I felt the same way. Like I was afraid to leave, just because I was so used to it being part of my life. But I decided that if I wasn't happy with how things were, that I should just take the risk and change something. Everyone has those worries, though. That doesn't make you a coward.
Madison half smiles, the side of her mouth curling up just a little bit.
If we ever do find a way out of here, maybe you could come back to America with me.
She's joking. I'm sure she doesn't mean it, or at least not fully, and yet my heart flutters like a bird taking flight. Even after everything that's happened, that she'd even have concern for someone like me. She truly is the most extraordinary person I've ever met. And as happy as her offer makes me, it hurts like a knife in my heart because I know that it could never happen. I wouldn't deserve that kind of happiness anyway. Still, I smile back in kind.
That might be nice. Would I have to ride on an airplane?
Oh, definitely. People don't really take boats across the ocean for travel anymore. Not nearly as much. Pretty much everyone flies.
Isn't that scary? How does something so heavy manage to stay up in the air?
This is just crazy, I know.
It's kind of scary the first few times, but you get used to it. As for how it's possible, well,
Nah.
there's all sorts of science behind it, but that would take too long to explain. Anyway, though, you could stay with me and Tara. We've got plenty of space. Or we could help you find your own apartment. There's a lot you'd have to learn about the modern world, of course, but it'd be worth it, and we could help you learn.
Madison continues on, explaining this and that. Explaining this and that procedure we'd have to go through and how we'd overcome each obstacle. I play my part, smiling and nodding along. It's an easy role. It does sound wonderful. In fact, there's nothing I'd like more. And though at first I thought she was joking, she's being completely serious. That makes it hurt even more. But I know it's impossible. I close my eyes to help hide the tears that have sprung there, unbidden. Fortunately, Madison doesn't even seem to notice. Her voice trails off. When I open my eyes again, I see that she is looking past me, her eyes wide with awe. I spin around, floating around far too early in the day. The
Are
fairies.
those the fairies you were talking about?
Yes.
A handful of them flit amongst the trees and lights, paying us no mind. They move like dancers, their motions fluid and in sync with each other. As one rises up to just a hanging light, another fairy weaves between branches, carrying something in its hands that I can't see. I only spy a few of them. Right now I'm sure that many more are just out of sight, deeper in the grove or otherwise nearby. Madison watches them with unabashed awe.
What are they doing?
I shrug.
I'm not sure. I've never seen them out during the day like this. Usually they stay hidden in their hive until the moon is out.
Bizarre.
They aren't like humans. They're something entirely different. Even though I've spoken with them before,
Hydrate?
I don't really understand
Imposter,
them.
champ? Okay, I gotta get my water for that hydrate though. I'll be back. I'll get my water. Also, hello Possum. Thanks for being my first subscriber. I saw it on the board. Thanks for being my first sub. How are you doing? I think we're really close to the end of this chapter. You just came to the very end of the chapter, I think. Funny. That's always fun. Oh, we'll do that, don't worry. You didn't miss too much. If you didn't miss too much. But don't worry about it, you know. Just go out about do your own thing.
Wait, they can talk? Like they can speak human language?
Yes. They aren't the most eloquent, but yes.
I see.
The only time I've ever talked with them was the first time I came to this grove. All on my own. At first they had tried to drive me out, but eventually realized that I meant them no harm. Since then, we haven't interacted.
They're part of the forest too, right? In the connected way that you were talking about before.
Yes.
We just sounded in acknowledgement, but didn't say any more. Whatever implications or meaning that might have to her goes unspoken. Soon the fairies disappear once more into the trees. Whatever business they called them here, finished. They go silently, not even the hum of their tiny wings reach us. After only seconds, we're left all alone again.
They weren't anything like I expected.
Really? How so?
In stories I've heard, fairies are always smaller and look like little people with wings. Not like what we just saw. And they usually live in flowers and fields, not the snow. But those are just stories, of course. I keep having to remind myself that this is real life, and that real life doesn't care what happens in stories.
Maz looks down at the pond. Gently, she places the tip of her foot into the water. Of course, the water remains still, like she isn't even there. Why am I here? She takes a tentative step forward, still standing upon the water. It supports her effortlessly. Her hands are slightly outstretched, as if she might lose her balance or footing and fall in. She turns around to face me.
I had an idea, actually. About getting out of here. Do you think that the forest spirit could help us? It's powerful, right? Maybe it could use its magic to make us humans again. We could even talk to it together. You'd seriously be welcome to come back with me and Tara. I'd like that a lot, actually.
I can't look at her. I can't meet her eyes. All I can do is nod, trying to smile and hoping that she doesn't see my tears.
I'd like that too. Perhaps it could help. There's certainly a chance.
There isn't. Her face lights up. Even the prospect of leaving makes her happy.
Great! Maybe we can plan together what the best way to ask it would be?
I just nod again. It's all I can do.
Sure.
I can't bring myself to tell her the truth. That no matter what she asks, what she says, there's no way the spirit can grant her wish. Not just something that can just be reversed. Her mortal form was destroyed by Evelyn just shortly after I saved her spirit. As far as the rest of the world is concerned, Madison Rains no longer exists. Neither the forest spirit nor I have the power to remake her. There's no escape. Chapter 4. Oh, that's so sad. That is so sad. I can't believe it. That's the end of the chapter. I'm so sorry, Poston. You came right at the exact tail end of the chapter. But I hope you enjoyed what little you saw, and hope you enjoy the emotes that you can use and the redeems and all that jazz. I spent a whole afternoon working on the redeem things and all that stuff, making the there's my heart emote. A heart emote that you can barely see the heart of, because I didn't really realize how it was difficult to see a heart that's small when I made the emote a long time ago. But the idea's there. Yeah, that was chapter 3. A lot of emotions that happened. Damn. So many emotions went through that episode. I did have fun. I was really sad though at one point when Tara started bawling her eyes out when making that video, wanting Evan to give back Maddie. Yeah, their chapter 3s, both this one and Please Be Happy, are freaking roller coasters. Why is Studio Alon gonna put emotions right in the smack dab middle of their games? I can't believe it. How dare they make compelling stories that immerse me in the emotions of the characters? How dare they? Who gave them the right to make such good compelling stories? I can't believe it. I guess it's still. How dare they? Who gave them the right to make good stories like this? That's amazed my head. But I go with that. I'm trying to look for someone to raid for fun. I like raiding people for fun. Let's see. Do Twitch on my phone. How do you stare, Studio Adol? Can't believe it. This is a crime against the gays. This is a crime against the gays? How could you? Let's see. Who's streaming this? Who's streaming what? For you. Please minimize. Let's see. That is not the game you're playing. That is something else. You maybe? Let's see. Yes, you. We're gonna raid this person. I don't know who they are, but we're gonna raid them. Strangers! We're gonna raid strangers. I like raiding strangers, it's fun. Slash raid. What's the name? Doop 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 doop. Stranger danger, but this might be not good bad danger though. Okay, that's the right person. Alright. Well, thanks, Paulson, for tuning into the stream, even though you didn't see that much. I hope you have a nice time watching the VOD if you have time and all that stuff. I hope you have a nice rest of the day. Hope you had fun doing whatever what you're doing like out there, and I hope you have a nice week. Until next time. See ya.